Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mack Maloney's No Track Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. We have quite a show for you tonight, but I'll tell you what, girls. Get ready, because we got a big surprise coming. You know what it is? The very famous Juan-Juan is here in the studio.
He's back.
He's back after a month of secret missions that he didn't even tell us what they were.
Those were tough ones, too.
Yeah, they must have been. I mean,
they
complete
were so
silence.
tough, I had Steven Spielberg with me, just in case.
Why in the world would you bring him?
I don't know.
I mean, what's he going to do in a fish?
All right, Quentin Tarantino, then.
Why would you bring him? I'd bring Spielberg before him. Jeez. Yikes. Anyway, Juan-Juan is here.
Now, what's wrong with Quentin Tarantino?
Oh, come on.
He's great.
Oh, he's great. No, you know what he says, you know?
You know, my oldest daughter went to film school because of Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, really? Yeah?
And she went to that...
The one who's a lawyer now, huh?
This class up in Maine.
Yes.
To learn how to run a steady cam and learn how to write scripts and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
How to talk to actors with attitudes.
Juan-Juan, did you know I went to film school?
I know you did.
I remind you that every show.
No. That doesn't mean you know everything, Big Shot.
Yes, I do.
Jeez.
I know enough to know that whatever his name is, he's one of the worst directors.
No, he's not the worst. He
is one of the worst.
He's good.
He's
got
in the top
a style
10.
that I find very interesting.
He has no style. He has no style. Have you ever seen a movie called Destiny Hits the Radio?
No.
Okay. All right. How about Grindhouse?
Yeah.
See that? Oh yeah. That you were entertained by Grindhouse, was you?
I like
okay.
Grindhouse.
Well, someone out there was. It was you.
I like that series. There were two movies there, the Grindhouse kind of style. I liked it.
Did you see Inglourious Bastards?
Oh yeah, I loved it. I love Inglourious
Oh,
Bastards.
you like?
And I like that actor that plays the German. I love him.
You like
he was
scenes?
the dentist guy in Django.
Okay, you like the scenes where he sat and talked to the woman who owned the movie theater for like 3.5 hours about nothing?
Okay.
That
scene was kind of, you could edit that scene.
Didn't they talk literally like for a half hour about chewing gum or something?
Well,
like really?
It's a very dialogue-driven movie.
You ain't kidding, baby.
You know, all of
drive me right over the freaking cliff.
And they all start off with like this group of people sitting around either a lunch table or in a car.
Yep. Chatting forever, long scenes of dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, and that to me tells me that he didn't have money. He didn't have a lot of money. Okay, so it's cheaper to film just people sitting around a table than in tanks and airplanes and that kind of
like
stuff.
Like the opening of Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
The opening of Pulp Fiction versus like the opening of Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I didn't see either.
I put two of those openings together and just fade them in and going. It's perfect. You get the camera going around and each person is taking charge of the conversation. Then there's all these interruptions, and then it gets louder, and then it's just like, Harvey Keitel, and it's going crazy, and Tim Roth is everywhere. He's in all the movies, and he's good.
Wow.
And it's great. You're saying, okay, all that filming is done.
Yep.
One set piece, boom, couple of cameras. You can make a living off of that, and it's good stuff. Don't give me that. Give me that noisemaker thing.
Okay, all right. Now we've really increased the budget. Anyway, Cobra, you still awake?
Right.
Yeah, I am.
I hope you took notes. There'll be a quiz.
I did take notes, and I didn't want to overspeak my place. But, God, I was jumping at the gate here. Well, so quickly, Grindhouse.
Yes.
How can you not love a movie with a woman who doesn't have a leg,
right,
and the device has a machine gun?
Exactly.
Reservoir Dogs, one word or two words, Mr. Pink. Pulp Fiction, he's sending the wolf.
Oh, come on. You know why?
The wolf, man. That's
Would
a good
I be
scene.
correct that this is a clean house that has cleaning supplies under the sink?
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's cool if you guys want to like those kind of movies, but I can tell you from
Jimmy, can you give me a cup of coffee?
Mac, though, I agree with you. I think that Mr. Tarantino is not in the great category.
See, he's not. I think he's in the worst category.
Okay, I
Take all his movies together.
But he has a genre all to
I
his
want to
own.
make one observation here early in the show.
Okay,
You
please do.
indicate that you haven't seen any of these movies. So, like an unread book, which is the most dangerous thing, how can you make this conclusion?
I don't have to. I'm like a literary.
He's just an anti-Quentin Tarantino.
No,
bigot,
yes, that's
all.
true. All right, but I'm like a literary critic. I don't have to read the book to tell you that.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. No.
Oh,
You can
there's
just-
a shot at literary
Anyway,
critic.
and I'll tell you another thing there, Juan-Juan, very famous Juan-Juan. You say the opening scenes of his movies are always really cool, right?
Well, they're cool in terms of how they're set up and how you get to
Okay.
introduce the characters right from the beginning.
You know how you pitch a movie out there in Hollywood? You film the beginning of the movie. You get someone to give you, De Niro to give you $1 million or something, okay? And you film the beginning of the movie. And you bring that in with your pitch. And show it to them, bada boom, bada boom. So if you see a lot of these movies, the opening shots are like fantastic, and then the movie blows after that. And that's why.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
But none of the movies that I mentioned did that. I thought they held your interest throughout.
I think you were fooled.
Hateful Eight. Have you seen Hateful Eight?
No.
Oh,
I don't have to see his movies to know.
I went all the way to Somerville because they did a
Somerville.
70
So I guess you
millimeter
don't want to delve
presentation.
into cinematic masterpieces like "I'm Going to Get You, Sucker," which was a
I like
really
that.
big hit on the ship.
I did like that one, though.
You did like
Yes.
you're into the black
Who was that
Black
actor?
exploitation.
exploitation.
Yeah,
Who was he? He was, oh boy.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, he would go. He did go back and get all these black exploitation actresses and actors to be in his movies. Fred Williamson.
Well, that's why Quentin Tarantino did that one that goes after the female super black exploitation. What was it? I can't remember that. I'll think of it. I can't remember that.
I hate to say it, but the only time I saw them, up on the marquee, was in the combat zone. We'd hook school and we'd go to the combat zone, and all those kind of black exploitation movies were playing endlessly.
Something Fox. What was it?
Oh,
What was
yeah.
it? I think De Niro was in that. And
We'll never.
and
Yeah, you're right.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah. And they'll hook
Obviously,
films.
you can't go without talking about like Velvet Smooth, but I know it's the Fox one's going to come to me. Hold on,
Yeah.
Melinda
Fox,
Coffee.
Because
I'm
that was the
trying to-
original actress that was in those
Right.
black exploitation.
Wasn't like Get Vicky Fox or something like that? Had some kind of
Foxy
weird name.
Brown.
Foxy Brown.
Foxy
Oh,
Brown.
my
Yeah,
Foxy
one of my
Brown.
favorites.
Cobra.
Good-looking woman too. God.
Vivica Fox. She was in Kill Bill.
Yes, right.
Yes.
All those, art house movies.
Okay, there's another Kill Bill 1 and 2. Dynamite.
And Foxy Brown makes an
Terrible.
appearance in the
Fuck.
second of the Snake Plissken movies.
Wow, the what? The what movie?
What?
Snake Plissken, Escape from New York, Escape from L.A. She's in it.
She's in that?
I thought he said something else. The magic word of the night.
See,
Anyway,
we could do a whole show on Quentin Tarantino.
yeah, who'd want to?
Didn't he write the script for
I'll tell you who's a way better director. Okay. Yes.
the movie
Hey,
with
Yeah, when nothing happens,
Back
everyone's bored.
Christian
One.
Slater?
Oh, good. Top star.
With Christian
Back-
Slater
back
and
in 1-1.
yeah,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah.
Are
know,
you
they-
guys able to see the picture I have just uploaded to you
No.
on your screen? Because I think it's the perfect.
For a radio show.
Yeah, I know, but it's the perfect one for you guys to talk about for this segment that we're doing in this opening.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you click
Open
on
up-
that?
Yeah, what
Open
does
up
that mean?
Mac.
What do I have to do?
You just open up the conversation box and
Okay.
look at the picture I just sent you. I think it's the perfect encapsulation for this whole segment.
Okay, all right, here we go. Oh, yeah, baby. Mac Hefton. That's excellent. It's a black exploitation
I am like
movie
Juan-Juan.
poster called The Mac. All right.
Unlike Juan-Juan and Mr. Mack Maloney,
Okay.
I am only a student of film. I never had the opportunity to go to higher education in film. So,
Mhm.
but I was on a ship and I was the movie officer for
Yes.
many, many years. So that does give me a certain
You were the what?
SME for this.
The movie
The
officer.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you know that I worked at a motion picture projection room
I
down
know.
in Newport,
It's practically we're in the same
Yeah.
unit.
waiting for my ship to come in. I didn't want my ship to come in. I was just watching movies and checking splices all day long.
Joined at the hip. I'll tell you, you had the most unbelievable
was
military
unbelievable.
service in the world.
I was send you on a ship. I go, oh no, not that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Just-
I'm in the Navy, but
where's the ship? Oh, it's in the Med. It'll be coming back soon. In the meantime,
yeah, you run the film
we're
line.
gonna. I said, oh great. In the meantime, I'm gonna be pushing a broom somewhere in some barracks. No. In the meantime, you're going to be in the motion picture projection room.
Right.
I'm an ET. I'm going to be working on broken projectors. No. You don't have to do that either.
Doing the film.
You watch the movies after 5 issues to the fleet. You watch it. You run it through the machine. Check it for splices. Click, click, click. How many splices? Check each splice. Make sure it's intact. Log it on this little booklet that comes with the movie.
What are the Russians doing while
watch
you're doing all this
movies
stuff?
when you're not doing that.
Wow.
They were staying away. They knew.
They knew. Staying away. Okay.
Oh, man.
They used to do that in school. You did it in the Navy. All right, hold on. Unbelievable.
That's how I was serving my country, and that was like 1971.
Where were you? Is that when you were in Newport, Rhode Island, with the 1% of the 1%?
With 9 months left to go on my hitch, they sent me to a ship, which was kind of unusual.
Yeah, right.
But it's coming back to the Med, so it's in port now for who knows how long. I'm commuting from Chelmsford, Massachusetts to Newport every day.
Unbelievable.
Unless I had duty.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you for your service.
You bet.
Okay. And keeping all those
I'm
rich
curious,
people.
on that kind of hectic work schedule and demand, how did you differentiate when you were on duty and not on duty?
Well, with that gig, it was kind of funny because when the ship comes back from the Med, there's things to work on. So I'm doing my ET stuff, my 9 to 5 or 9 to 3:30, whatever it was.
Okay.
And doing that stuff, and
Short
then
hours
then getting into commuting traffic like everybody else.
Wow.
For most
The horror.
most every day, that's what I did was commute.
Okay.
One time I was home and we got hit with a snowstorm.
Yes.
Hey, Juan-Juan,
Yes.
is there any chance that we could get to the show? Not that this isn't great.
Yeah.
Listen. Hold on a second.
All right, let me finish this. A snowstorm,
Yes.
and I couldn't drive.
Yes.
There was no way.
Right.
The next morning was like blizzard.
Right.
I called the base, and there was a chief petty officer who was my boss.
I
said,
can't come to the war because it's
I
snowing.
can't
snowing.
come in. He said, "Don't worry about it. I'll put you on leave for the day."
All right. You got the day off.
Luckily, you weren't at the Battle of the Bulge.
I
No,
would.
hey,
It's snowing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Never mind Valley Forge or any of that. Forget that
know.
stuff. Yeah. Okay.
I would have been bitching about all that snow.
Where's
in Battle of the
Juan-Juan?
Bulge.
General Washington, where's Juan-Juan? I don't know.
Yeah, he's back at the
I
camp.
think he called in though.
He called in. He
He's on
can't
a
make
day
the
of
battle.
leave, sir. Back in Boston.
He's working remotely.
Okay. Yes. Anyway, so well. Okay, Juan-Juan, thank you once again for bringing us down memory lane vis-a-vis your surface. Okay. Yep. He's giving me all kinds of signs now that I don't quite understand. But that wouldn't be the first time. So I'll tell you what, Cobra. This is what we're going to do tonight. We're going to be talking to Ellie Maloney. No relation, as it turns out, but she's a writer and a performer, and she's written a book that links UFOs with the Kennedy assassination. I can't wait. Okay?
Oh, me neither.
Interesting looking guest, would you say there, Juan?
I will say, yeah, definitely.
So we'll be talking to her, and then
If that's really her.
Yeah, we'll find out. On the internet, you don't know.
That's right. Nobody knows you're a dog on the internet.
Right, exactly. Or if you're a guy in women's clothes, so.
Hey, wait a minute. Don, we now are gay
There
apparel.
you go. All right, now listen. That's another $48. Why don't we take a break now, and we'll be back, hopefully, with Ellie Maloney. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show. Cobra, did you have anything to say in closing the segment, or I feel I left you out?
I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be part of this last segment.
Okay, all right. All right, a little gratitude there from Coco.
Yeah, cue the background music. Thank you for
Thank you
being
very
a friend.
And thank you for sending me that poster. So, the Mac, I like it. Maybe I'm going to have a little bit of a change
I think
here.
it works. Yep.
And I'll just be, I'll make Tom Brady makes people call him sir. I'm going to make people call me the Mac.
the Mac.
Where's the Mac? Okay, is the Mac here
Not
yet?
to be related to Bernie Mac, who's no longer with
No,
us.
Bernie. Did he die?
Right?
The Mac says.
Did Bernie?
I think so.
Did he really? Did
Oh,
he
yeah,
die,
yeah,
Cobra?
he's been gone. He's been gone
Yep.
a while.
The
was-
guy who
yeah.
ran for president?
Bernie, no, not
No, not Sanders.
Oh, okay. Who you say?
Bernie Mac on
He's been dead for
the
years.
black,
yeah, he was a
kind
funny
of
guy.
funny guy.
Guy was
Very funny guy.
Oh, my
Bad
God.
Santa.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Ruining kids'
Ocean's 11.
Christmases.
God, he was great.
But yes. All right, well, listen, let's take a break, and then we'll be right back. So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We will be right back after this. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney in the studio with us.
You don't say.
Yeah. Girls, He's back. Juan-Juan is back after a month of...
Drum roll, please.
Right. We don't have that. Oh, we have this.
Okay.
Familiar sound.
Close enough.
So you're back after a month of doing secret missions.
A month on hiatus.
Hiatus, yeah. Okay.
Hiatus.
There you go. Okay, funny, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, had some things to do, some personal matters to take care of, and some secret missions to attend to.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for your
They
service.
were so secret, but I should have got a GoPro camera for those secret missions. I got to do that too.
Next time, yeah.
That's some more technology we got to get. A camera for the studio and a camera for my for my head.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Talk about movies by Tarantino.
That's right.
Juan-Juan by day.
Tarantino needs some footage. Yeah.
Also on the line with us is, they call him Coco on the street, Commander Cobra.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Up in his undisclosed location up in Maine. No video tonight there, Kobe?
Not allowed to have the video.
Oh, by who?
So how's the movie receipts of Coco?
How would he know?
It's not enough to upgrade the video, so we're still hopeful, though, that it's going to have a strong finish in 18.
His contract was for net, not gross.
That's right.
There we go. So, listen, joining us tonight, wow, what a surprise we have, though we've been talking back and forth about this for a couple of months, but now she's been able to make time for us in a very busy schedule. Ellie Maloney. No relation.
No relation, huh?
To Mack Maloney. There she is. How you doing there tonight, Ellie?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so happy we're finally doing this.
Right. Now, it's we've been talking for quite a while, but now Maloney's an Irish name. You don't sound Irish unless you come from the south of Ireland or something.
No,
what,
I'm not Irish.
What is that accent we hear?
This name is kind of the family that I choose.
Oh, really? It means huss thief in Gaelic, by the way. So you might want to choose again, Yeah, huss thief.
Like you have undisclosed locations, and I have undisclosed original names. That's my pen name. So.
Oh, it's her pen name, right?
It's cool.
Interesting.
That's the world she lives in.
That's like a friend of mine.
Right. It's funny. It's my pen name, too, when you think about it.
It is.
Okay. Well, anyway. That's another.
Did you forget?
Another show. Yeah, sometimes I got so many that I don't remember them all.
So if I go to Ancestry DNA and type in your pen name, what am I going to get?
Nothing. Zero.
Probably Irish.
Some kind of tax thing, probably.
So full disclosure.
Yes.
No, not a full disclosure. A little bit of a disclosure.
All right.
Okay.
I am originally born in Ukraine, and let's say since 2010, I am not living in Ukraine anymore for various work, family, marriage-related reasons. That's the accent you're catching.
Wow. Well, I even forget how we got in touch. I think I got a message from your manager or your publicist or something. But I went right on your website because you have the same last name as I. You stole the same last name as I did, okay? And
I did.
And the first thing that struck me was this photographs on. I guess it's on your website or your Facebook page or something like that. I was trying to send them to Juan-Juan, and of course he couldn't find them. But you have some stunning.
They're everywhere.
Who takes those photos? I'm not.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. Some of them are stunning pictures, and the special effects, or however you did it. The one where you're flying, you're floating while you're writing is just, I get that feeling.
Yeah, that was a fun project. We had to involve some anti-gravity and NASA to do that. That was pretty tough and expensive. But
it's just money. Okay, well.
I'm going to throw a joke in.
It was good.
Did she just have a joke? Is there a joke?
No, she was talking about anti-gravity. She said it was pretty expensive.
We'll give that.
Look right over our heads. See, no, I was paying attention. Anti-gravity, okay.
Something.
Yeah, the flying pictures.
Right, I liked it.
Yeah,
It was good. It was a good effect.
So, I started doing these modeling pictures kind of later in life than a model would be doing. But then, I kind of had my whole life backwards a little bit because even before I hit 18, I started working in an office work, and I gave that kind of law enforcement related stuff, and I gave that almost 8 years. So, and then I realized there's life outside of that stuff. So, and then when all fun started, then I started writing books and like, why not do modeling? And like, I don't know, it's like every time it's something new with me. So now it's writing books.
Sure, for you, it's all tied together. It's all one big package. It's great. Are you a musical performer too?
No.
No?
No.
That's
You don't want to know. You don't want to hear.
Oh, yes, sure we do.
I love the accent. Who wouldn't want to hear you sing something? If someday we're singing in the shower,
Yes.
try it out.
And we'll know. Okay. You know what's funny is having her on video, and I hate that this is going to get me a lawsuit.
Be careful now.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I shouldn't say.
Everybody wore black the other night at the
That's
Golden
right.
Globes.
And I'm wearing black now.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
An RV rolls into a campground. Kids in the back eat turkey, jerky, excessive. Dad drives like a boss with 24/7 support from Progressive. Tomorrow it's off to see the world's largest ball of twine. Would have seen it last trip, but Dad missed the sign.
Get 24/7 help when you insure your RV with Progressive. Call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or visit progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
So don't walk that line.
We're going to compliment you on just your style, but
Who does she
no one
remind you?
else.
She reminds me of somebody too on the cover of.
This is what you want to compliment me?
No,
Yeah, because you know
are
why?
you kidding? It's
Talking just from a guy's point of view.
Yeah.
Okay. You know the girl is really attractive when she doesn't have to dress up to look really attractive. How
exactly
about that?
yeah.
Okay?
The natural
And
attractiveness. The hair doesn't have to be done by
right, exactly.
whoever.
Yeah. You know, that's tiptoeing through the mind.
I can only assume what the audience is thinking, like how what am I looking, what I look like right now.
Well, that's
what we're talking about.
That's fun about radio. That's
You
what-
look kind of hot, is what we were trying to say, but
He said
we
the
didn't
word.
want to.
He said the word.
Yes.
He said the word.
Yeah. Sorry.
But she
We can
reminds me
edit it
about.
out.
She reminds me of somebody I saw in a magazine.
Yeah. What magazine was that?
Well,
Watch it.
just recently on
Okay.
the regular clean magazines.
Okay.
You know,
all right. Don't accuse me. Don't judge me.
like Cosmo and those things. you know.
Okay. Yeah, they're not real normal. Go ahead.
No, but really, she looks like an actress, or that she has a familiar look that I'm
Yeah.
trying to.
Yeah.
I'll pin it down later. Probably after
Yeah.
the show's over.
Yeah.
She reminds me of some
I
actress.
doubt
Right now.
that's what you're referring to, but I did get an acting gig just recently.
See, I knew
Yes.
it.
All right.
That's
All
not a
right.
thing,
Wrong.
it's just- I mean, like, I'm all over the place. And I do have my own fan magazine. It's Ellie Maloney. You can look it up on MagCloud.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I doubt that's what you're referring to, but, like, I'm just throwing it in just in case.
Okay, sure.
Okay, well-
Now, listen, let's talk about your book, okay? Because among other things, you're an author, and you've written this book that, what fascinated me was it was right after we did the JFK special, and then I saw her book actually links JFK Assassination with UFOs. You know, we were kind of looking for. We wish that we had met you like about a month before. You would have been the star of that show.
Oh yeah.
So just tell people out there the name of the book and what it's about.
Okay, so the book is 329 Years Awake, and this is a science fiction, historic fiction, speculative fiction, you name it. It's kind of this is my debut novel, and a lot of my fascinations it's a kitchen sink of what I'm interested in life in general. It's history, it's science fiction for sure, it's science, so it kind of manifested itself into this first contact type of story with a twist.
Right. And where's the Kennedy connection?
So basically my book follows several historic periods. Let me start from the premise. Humanity has a powerful gift, but we don't
It's
know
called
about it.
Juan-Juan. No, I'm sorry. It's unnecessary humor. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, Ellie.
It's just that's how he is sometimes. He's a little bit high, a little bit low. Tonight he's a little bit high. Go ahead, please, Ellie. Sorry.
Go.
Who's high? What state are you
We were in
New Hampshire.
Massachusetts. And we know what state you're in, Washington
Obviously, you're
State.
keeping up with the
the first one.
advances that culture is making out on the East Coast.
Right. You know, remember the night that it became legal in Washington State, we were talking to those guys in the band, Mystery Flyers. Remember they took the picture from the book? And I said to him, well, it must be a big night up there. You know, everyone, must be getting high. He says, it's always been like this. We can't even notice the difference.
Yeah, it was a pretty big night for me. I got married in here.
Wow, okay.
Totally unrelated.
Yeah.
Totally unrelated.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, totally unrelated.
So,
lucky guy.
Where were we?
Okay, God.
So you're talking about JFK and the UFOs.
The premise of my book, that the aliens are here and they're watching us, and they're watching us for a very specific reason, because they are watching our evolution. And more so, they are guiding us to the evolution because humans have this gift. I call it oscillation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is based on the quantum consciousness theory of Roger Penrose. Basically, humans have potential to access reality through consciousness.
Okay, makes sense to
Very
me.
mathematical kind of, sounds metaphysical unless Roger Penrose explains it, and then it becomes science.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and my book follows different historic periods. One of them is the period of JFK from his birth to his death,
yes.
And that was the period when the UFO sightings started happening. So I tie it in together. When was JFK? When the Battle for LA happened?
Right.
Was the intelligence agency in the Naval Intelligence Agency in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
So how he heard about that? What is the intelligence agency dealing with asymmetric warfare? What is asymmetric warfare? Is when your enemy is the guerrilla warfare against
yes.
you.
Yes.
And so basically, he receives the task to. Well, it's history. You can where I use history, it's hard. History like real facts, but then I
embellish them
as a thought experiment.
Yeah, you put your stamp on them. Let me ask you this:
go ahead.
Do you think JFK was a handsome man before he got shot? Okay, hang on, that wasn't really nice there.
No, personally.
No.
That was all right.
Okay, all right, yeah.
He was a smart cookie. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's hitting everything between meetings and stuff. That's what he was doing. He used to take 7 showers a day.
I envy his ability. If I want to look up to JFK in one thing, is in his ability to read like that.
Mm-hmm. He's a smart guy. Yeah.
I was a little bit faster, and I'm like.
He was loved in this part of the country.
He's adored. He was like sanctified. So, how am I going to ask this question? I'm going to guess that you are 23 years old.
Yeah, and we'll keep it there.
No?
Good
was
guess.
that right?
Good
yeah?
guess, Matt.
Okay,
I guess.
super. Okay. What was it like growing up in the Ukraine? When you were growing up in the Ukraine, what did you think of the United States?
Oh, that's a fascinating conversation. My exposure to the United States happened through syndicated TV flicks, and they were not the best of the quality. Let's say if you had
All in the Family.
There you go.
Green Acres.
Green Acres. There you go. Perfect.
Wow.
Perfect.
I grew up in Green Acres.
The show they did while doing LSD. Everyone was doing acid when they were filming that show. Excellent. Ever think the pig is the funniest and the smartest person on the show? Anyway, sorry.
Wow, Green Acres. There's
Yeah.
America. I want to go
Cool.
there. Fresh air, Times Square.
Yeah,
You are my wife. Goodbye, city life.
And she's funny in it because she's dopey, but she's the only one that makes sense.
Zsa
Because
Zsa
everyone
was
else is
great.
crazy. Yeah, that was Eva.
Eva, so whatever.
How can you be?
This filmed my first ever attempt at comedy sketches on YouTube, and it's kind of bizarre that you're asking about this. It's dedicated to my experience with syndicated flicks and how I experience America through that. It's comedy.
Okay. So did you think of us as this is the way I think people over there think of us, all right? I think they think we're rich, spoiled,
Living beautiful
bastards.
homes.
Yeah. and we don't appreciate what we have.
Then again, if you look at Green Acres, and the message you get from it is that Americans only want to get like a farm with an outhouse. It kind of becomes like, we're not different after all. So,
I live in a farmhouse.
Yeah, right.
I live in a farmhouse, Ellie, with an indoor outhouse.
There you go. It's indoors.
Yep.
there you go.
Yep. In the barn, there's a section, a 2-seater section.
2-seater?
It's because the barn is connected to the house. You went from the house into this other little room connected to the barn.
Right.
With a 2-seater indoor outhouse.
2-seater? Who would go for 2-seaters?
I don't know. I think when you.
No lines, no waiting.
Yeah.
For a date, like to sit next to you, like how does it work? A 2-seater.
Well, yeah, there's a long history about why a lot of people lived in that house back in the 1800s before we did.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
You can't.
He had a big family.
Nice.
So I guess no waiting. You are next.
Hoofa. So anyway, hey, listen. I'm just fascinated by this, Ellie, and I have to ask you a question that everyone is, I think, wondering. Okay. Are you married?
Yes, I got married when the weed got legalized in Washington State.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Unrelated.
Good for him.
It's just a fun fact that has nothing to do with one another.
What? Did you
No, I missed that. I'm sorry. I missed that.
Totally two unrelated facts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, is he from Washington? Is from local or from Ukraine? It's none of our business. It really isn't. He's probably
not the FBI.
He's an engineer. He works for Boeing. Okay, leave him alone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
He's got a radio in the attic.
Yeah.
Don't say that. That's not right.
And when he's not in Boeing, he hangs out at Starbucks all day. 2 great Washington State companies.
No, they moved to Chicago.
They did? Why did they go to Chicago?
Yeah, who knows?
All right.
Better music there. You and I agree on one thing. You like Ben Bradley's music? She doesn't know who he is.
We do?
Okay, all right.
Ben Bradley.
Next question.
I thought you meant the Washington Post correspondent, and for some,
No. On your website. On your website, there's, you are friends with Ben Bradley. He's kind of a well-known electronic dance band guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the Mouse Guy and those guys, Danger Man. You ever see the guy who comes out like a mouse?
No.
No?
No.
You're
You
not
lost
into
me
that
on that one.
electronica stuff?
No.
Okay. Anyway, maybe it's another Ellie Maloney. Who knows? How long did it take you to write the book? And didn't you just hate every word you typed?
Kind of. I kind of still do, but now I have to live with it. It's out there in the public. It took about 2 years.
Really?
Under 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you do it on a
Now, when it
typewriter?
takes you 2 years, do you have to keep changing the title?
No, come on.
Yeah, kind of, like...
The 300.
There was some of that, and there was some, like, some of my characters did some gender bender on me as they went along.
Gender bending.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the secret word of the night.
Like it started out as a guy, then it turned out to be a woman, and
Yeah, that happens, yeah. I've seen that happen before. Oh, but anyway, it sounds great, but where did you get the idea in the first place? Did the idea just come out of the blue to you, or?
Out of the blue, deep Atlantic Ocean, should I say, because I was living in Liberia for some time, and let's say my husband and I, we travel for work, and that was that 1 year where we were living in Liberia. And so I was sitting on the Liberian coast in the Angler's restaurant, and it was a little bit of an exercise in stream of consciousness writing, and my brain just regurgitated these aliens coming out of the ocean, and one led to another.
Wow.
I started blogging it on the website, then I took it all down because first drafts, they're atrocious. But yeah, I posted chapters initially on the blog.
Mm-hmm. I love this conversation. I can't understand about half of it, but just watching you talk is better than.
So, unfortunately, I'm not able to see Ellie.
Cobra, go ahead, please.
Cobra.
I just wanted to ask Ellie. I'm going to say something to you. I studied Russian and I'm terrible at it, but I'm going to say something to you, and then maybe you can, you can grade me on it, and then watch the reaction with Mac and Juan-Juan.
So when
I do this. So here we go. You ready?
We're the tied up monkeys. See how we react. Go ahead. Go ahead, funny man. Okay.
Cut.
I didn't hear it.
Katina, Vas, Kak, Angela.
What? Oh, you better try that again. Once she stops laughing, try it again.
But then there was like some roosters involved, and I don't know.
Well, all right. What I was trying to say was, on your website, you have a great picture of you as an angel. I thought, because I like that kind of work, and there's a shot of you that's done very pretty. So I was trying to tell you that, and now you know why I didn't major in Russian.
Well, say it again. Give it a try. Don't give up so easy.
You're trying to say it's not so bad.
Good.
Play Krastaya.
Yes.
Kartina, Vas, Kak, Angela.
Okay. Thank you very much,
I
then.
should teach you some Ukrainian.
That'll be the Russian. Oh,
well, my Russian teacher was from the Ukraine, so that's the reason why I tried.
Huh?
I should stick to the 1 and 2 words and not try to put a sentence together.
No, that was a pretty decent sentence.
You know, Cobra's the kind of guy who comes out to you at a bar, and you're sitting there talking some.
Yeah, can you talk Russian, too?
Russian, I talk Russian. Yeah. Okay.
He's multi-talented, Ellie.
Well, when I was 23, that was a pretty in vogue thing to have happen. That's going back in the last century. So
you ain't kidding.
given my line of work in those days.
So wait a minute. What's the translation of what you were saying?
Great picture of you as an angel.
Oh,
okay. All right.
Okay.
There you go. I'm sure everyone's going and look for that right now. So who takes the pictures, Ellie? Do you take them?
No, different photographers.
Mm-hmm. Are they friends of yours, or they look very accomplished,
very polished and well done. Yes.
No, they are actually accomplished photographers. They do this stuff for a living, like photography.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Well,
except the selfies, that's me. Yeah, but other than that.
So what do you do when you're not, doing all this kind of artistic stuff? What do you do? Do you sit around, watch TV, and eat potato chips and stuff like that?
Green Acres. In English must be pretty exciting now.
Rerun of Green Acres, yep. Cosplaying Eva Gabor.
Doesn't have a leg to stand on.
See? Not nice. Not nice. Funny, but not nice.
I do have sort of a career outside of writing.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Go ahead, please.
I'm a lawyer.
You're a what?
You're a lawyer?
Lawyer.
Oh, wow. Well, we'll see you. Nice talking to you tonight. Goodbye. Wow, you're a lawyer.
What do you specialize in?
This does not compute.
Family law?
What do you...
It does not compute.
Yeah. What's your specialty?
It was once upon a time criminal law when I started, but then I kind of moved into human rights, gender.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, criminal law, there's a TV show in this, man. Come on. Call it Ellie. Ellie. Ellie NYPD.
Ellie, attorney at law.
Yeah. No. Well, she's a criminal attorney.
I know.
Okay. Yeah, she chases.
That's a good field to be in.
Yes, she does. She's a criminal attorney. She takes on all these scumbags, and she proves them wrong.
Right.
Okay?
If the glove don't fit.
Yeah. We must
acquit.
Right.
The greatest line of all time.
If you're OJ. He did it, right, Ellie?
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. So do you have fans?
Thanks to the Kardashians. The Kardashians
See what
are everywhere.
happens?
Yeah.
That's what we get in return.
The other side had Marsha Clark.
Marsha,
Marsha.
It's like that football game the other day. Everyone is she was the prosecutor.
Or was it Martha Clark?
Martha
Clark. Marsha Clark. I'm like, who of you is Marsha Clark over there?
Yeah.
Actually, I used to be in love with Martha Clark.
I
moved to California in 1995
to see her
during the OJ trial.
Just for her?
Well, it was on wall-to-wall coverage every station.
You ain't kidding.
When we moved there, when we house hunting and moved there, was like wall-to-wall OJ.
Mm-hmm.
For what? Like months, 6 months or so. CNN was like, boom, every channel. And
there was nothing else, and they were stuck with it for a year and a half. They had to keep.
Martha Clark had this.
Marsha.
Marsha.
Marsha Clark.
Marsha.
Go ahead.
Had this pizzazz that kind of had an appeal. Yeah, she had,
a future secret friend.
She was out of her league a little bit, but Darden was an idiot.
Having the affair.
Please, Coco, please go ahead. Juan-Juan was stepping over you.
Darden was an idiot, but I thought Marsha was.
They were all idiots.
That's.
Go ahead, Coco, please.
I was just saying she had a certain appeal. Obviously, that was matched by her co-prosecutor. They ended up having an affair during that wonderful legal process.
Really?
Oh yeah.
They had an affair, those two?
Didn't know that.
Haven't you seen the TV show?
Wow.
No, actually, I didn't. The OJ show, and I didn't watch it.
Have you ever seen? Let's straighten this out here, if that's possible. Have you ever seen a UFO, Ellie?
E.T. doesn't count.
No.
No, it hasn't.
Do you believe they exist?
Based on all the secrecy of the governments, multiple governments, there is something for sure.
Right.
And I want to know what it is.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
Motor, cycle, and car insured together. Saving money feels stress-free, mess-free, light as a feather. However, which should I drive? Depends on the weather. If it rains, take the car, because these pants are leather. Possibly pleather.
Bundle your motorcycle and car insurance and save with Progressive. Call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Right. Yeah, as do we all.
And
how do you think the folks in the Ukraine feel? Did they have that same kind of opinion?
They're busy doing other things.
There's about half.
It's like everywhere, I just grew up. I happened to stumble into the X-Files, when it was at its peak, and so it's kind of. It first catches you as fiction, but then the more you read, the more you realize. I mean, there's actual stories in there. You know,
Yep.
When you get government supersized budgets and secret commissions and all of that. I mean, what fascinates me, that people keep saying, "Oh, if we had a smoking gun." I'm I don't know what's a smoking gun supposed to be, like an alien walk before your eyes. Well, that would be,
That would be a smoking gun, and someone here would probably shoot them.
Smoking guns, multiple, but.
Right. It's going to take. It's one of these things that, when it happens, it's going to happen because everything up to this point always has that kind of. Doesn't have the quite credibility of things like if a UFO landed on the lawn of the White House. Right, Juan-Juan?
Exactly.
Okay. This has been fascinating. Juan-Juan is actually taking pictures of the screen. I didn't know you could do that. Is that legal?
But did JFK actually believe in UFOs or what? That's the part I want to get. Even though it's a fictionalized account, did JFK have some concern about UFOs during that period of time? Because I don't recall hearing about it.
Well, it's classified.
Oh, great.
Wow, what an answer.
Come on. That was so long ago.
So if you want to know how it's connected in my stories, so JFK.
Okay, all right.
Well, don't give it away.
Yeah, don't give it away.
Don't give it away.
That's okay.
Let's go back to this. Okay, 2 years to write it. You wrote it yourself. Did you use a typewriter? Someone in the audience asked.
No, they're pretty hard to transport. I love them. I own several, but since I have this traveling wheelbarrow type of style life,
right.
It's hard to.
What kind of music do you listen to?
Rock music.
Besides the Traveling Wilburys.
There you go.
They're a great band. Who was in the Traveling Wilburys? My favorite artist.
It was George Harrison and
Bob Dylan,
Tom Petty,
Jeff
Lynne, and Roy Orbison. Half of them are dead. Why did you bring that up? Why are you sucking the funny out of the room?
She mentioned Traveling Wilburys.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
See, she got me. Ellie, you have to get to know me I'll get off on a tangent sometimes if you mention a rock band.
It's not
or,
obvious enough. For
Right. It takes you have to go deep into him to get that.
Sorry, we're all about music here on this side of the board.
So, anyway.
Too, yeah.
Is it true that the guy who used to be the president of Ukraine, wasn't he like the candy empire, the candy king or something like that? The guy who used to run Ukraine?
The chocolate king.
The
yeah.
chocolate
really?
king. Yeah. Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is. He came to the presidency from the business background, and his business actually makes phenomenal cakes and chocolates. And
No kidding.
Wow,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
he made billions out of it. Pretty darn good employer, as far as I know. People like working in his organizations as far as business goes.
I don't want to, really
That's
get into it,
interesting.
but what's the situation over there now? Is it just kind of divided between Ukraine and Russia? I stopped watching the news a year and a half ago, Ellie, so I don't know what's going on. They're not still fighting there, are they? Cobra, are they?
Oh yes.
They are. Ellie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like a lot of what's happening will unfortunately depend on where United States stand, and so lack of consistent foreign policy from someone who can, stick up for us, for Ukraine.
Right.
It's like, here we give you some tanks and lethal weapon, and then we're gonna flirt with your enemy for the other reasons, and it's just kind of would be nice to know where the United States stands, but
Right.
it seems like in the foreign policy, whoever is the messenger, that's their message a little bit, recently. That's what I'm getting.
Right.
It's not as...
Why can't we all get along? Who said that? That was
Why can't we all
Rodney
get
King.
along?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I tell you why. Because
Rodney
Russia
King.
wants Crimea, Ukraine wants Crimea, and there's only one Crimea.
Yes.
And there's only so many walls we can build between east and west and south and north and
Right.
you know.
Right. Well, I just don't understand why everyone has to go around starting trouble all the time. Isn't it just it's costly in lives and money and everything, and yet some of these people, some of these politicians, they just can't fight the urge to go and get in a war somewhere. Yes or no?
Who has the bigger button?
Oh, wait a second.
War is a big business.
It's a big business. You're exactly right. So anyway, you are a lawyer. You are a lawyer. I'm still kind of amazed.
I'm
by
stunned.
That. Yeah, because how do I say this? You don't look like a lawyer? Is that...
No, it's just that with all the multimedia persona that's going on there, it's just
Right.
boom out of the. Oh, by the way, I'm a lawyer.
Right. By the way,
No,
I'm a
yeah.
lawyer. Yeah, you kind of snuck up on us there. So, which is usually how we meet lawyers. Hey. Hey, listen, Coco, you must have a question.
Well, are you going to do a follow-on to this book?
Yeah, 329 years of war is hopefully sometime this year.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
Is it going to pick up the story, the conclusion, or are you going to go in a new area?
It kind of ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger, but the way my book's structured, that part one of the book is like a story of itself, and then part two kind of ended on a cliffhanger, so I'm going to wrap up some of the story, and there's going to be a lot of, I think it's going to be pretty interesting, because by now I've heard everything that people think is going to happen.
Yes.
So I'm going to try my best to ruin all of that.
Yes. Sounds good. Well, listen, Ellie, thanks for joining us tonight, all the way across the country in the state of Washington, where everyone is high on life, I hear. Juan-Juan.
It's a beautiful state.
Yep. And thanks for joining us. Good luck with the book. And
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
And come on again real soon, okay?
Yeah, stay close. We'll contact you later on.
We should
be
ask her
done.
one last question. Okay, see, try to get that Russian in. We were actually psychoanalyzed about 6 months ago, the three of us. Okay, and
by another Ukraine.
By someone who was from the Ukraine, yes,
right.
as it turns out. And she gave us all what she had a term for it. You know, you are the. What was it? Not the. They labeled us. She labeled us.
Cobra was supposed to be the sensitive type.
Oh, wait a minute! You just walked on the.
What?
Can you tell who? I was going to say, can you tell of the three which one was? She saw as being Mr. Sensitive. Can you tell from our voices which one of us was labeled Mr. Sensitive?
Nope.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks for joining in.
We can edit.
We'll end on that.
We can edit that out.
Okay. Thank you, Ellie,
That's
for
good.
joining
Good
us.
answer.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. Okay, and we'll talk real soon.
Nice to have a lawyer in the house.
There you go.
Amen
Yeah.
to that.
Oh wait, Ellie. Before you go, does she have a
Website?
No, a link to the
A link to the book. How can people buy the book?
Yeah.
On Amazon.
Amazon.com.
Okay. And the name of the title once again.
329 years awake.
29
years awake.
Awake.
329 years awake.
Yeah. 329 years awake. I like that title.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Good luck with it, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We have to give her a round of applause. Come on. Ellie
Excellent.
Maloney. Thank you. There she goes. She couldn't leave quick enough. Anyway, listen. Why don't we take a commercial break? Now, she knew we had to take an ad. See? She's
Okay, good. You
Pretty
prepped her
silly.
on it. All right. Good.
Why don't we take a commercial break now, and we'll be back, hopefully, with Switcheroo. Okay, you're listening to Mack Maloney's Mill Track South Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Mill Track South Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. In the studio with us is... Okay, I hope you're sitting, girls. Juan-Juan is back.
Yes. Hi.
Yes.
Hello, ladies
And
gentlemen.
Yes. A secret mission for a month, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Hiatus. Also, not in the house, in the virtual house with us tonight, they call him Coco on the streets. Commander Cobra up there in the undisclosed location.
Good evening, gentlemen.
And also joining us from the disclosed location up there in the Bowl of Flakes, Battle Creek, Michigan, with the Homo Cheerios and about 40 other different kind of cereals.
Oh, I love this cereal.
Switcheroo. Switchblade Steve Ward.
How's it going, guys?
Okay, there you go. He sounds up tonight. How are you
did
doing?
Battle Creek become the cereal capital of the world,
What wasn't it? You go way back, some kind of wellness stuff. Who was that?
Yeah,
was it
I think
Kellogg?
was that Kellogg?
Kellogg set up that camp for the late 1800s, and people went there and ate cold cereal and got all kinds of weird enemas.
We went there. It's called Montauk. No,
that's in New York.
That's in New York. It's called. We went. It's on a mountain, right near. It's sort of near Woodstock in New York. Okay, and Mohonk is the name of it. It's an incredible place.
Was this the place that helped you with pneumonia and stuff like that?
Yeah, back
they
then,
didn't know
yes.
what, they called it consumption back then.
Yeah,
tuberculosis.
That's tuberculosis.
It's the first health retreat, But now it's just a hotel, and it's a very strange place. You're up in a mountain, and I guess there was a crater there at one point. And there's a massive lake, like about 4,000 feet high. So it's very nice. Anyway,
everybody's outside breathing the air.
Yeah, Kellogg started it, and it was his way of saying, okay, here's how you get better. You eat healthy. I believe it was a new concept.
So he wasn't in the industry at the time when he did that.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No, cold
I
cereal
think,
is considered not a good thing. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think that really predated. Something else I heard that he did. I don't know if it's true or not.
Go
if
ahead.
it is true, I don't know why. But he imported black squirrels into this area.
Good for him. I love those
Now,
black squirrels.
What color are the squirrels where you guys are? What's
Gray.
the normal?
They're gray.
Yeah.
But in California, they're black.
Same.
Yeah, in parts of New York
Exactly.
City where they're black.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I grew up in the Detroit area, but out here they're black squirrels.
Wow.
And occasionally you'll run into a gray one, and they don't seem to get along.
Oh,
But,
there you go. See, white and black. How can this is the Oreo cookie?
Well,
Ebony and
Brad,
ivory. Why can't they get along? I'm sorry. Don't want to go political.
another
quip from the Mac.
I'm glad I asked.
Anyway, so Switch. Anything new up there?
Well, we got a little bit of a break with the cold. I think I'm getting a cold.
Oh, good. Okay.
We lost a guy at work because he's going to undergo surgery for a hernia.
All right. Okay. All right.
and I'm very happy that I don't think they're going to replace him with anybody. So that's going to be fun.
Wow.
But you know me, I don't complain about nothing. You know.
How do you say in pig Latin, sucking the energy out of the room? Can you figure that out? Anyway. So you're going to talk to us tonight about some disappearing ships, a mysterious area, and I'm going to start out with the lumber schooner, the Bavaria. Now this is May 28th, 1889. Okay.
And I'm going to tease the location for just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's because you are a tease.
Oh,
that's
stop,
right.
Stop.
That's just the way I'm wired.
Oh.
Go ahead, please.
What the?
Calm down, Cobra. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Switching.
Ship's crew is just a small barge, 8 men. Now there's some kind of a steam barge that is pulling. It's a little bit of a storm, and they're towing the Bavaria and 2 other lumber schooners. Okay.
Yes.
So now I can't really. I know this is the olden days, so I don't really know what these things looked like. But what happened was. That's right. I was, just after the Spanish-American War.
Okay.
The tow line snapped.
Yes.
And this is about 6 a.m. in the morning. The Bavaria is the middle vessel, so it was trailing behind the Valentia, and behind it was the Norway.
Yes.
Now the Bavaria rams the one behind it, the Norway, and it wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't irreparable damage.
Okay.
And the Norway was able to recover. And it gets off to a nearby island, and that's fine. And so the Bavaria you could tell it was broached and was taking on some water. So the head ship there was kind of concerned, but they didn't seem like they were reacting on board. The sail was not raised, the ship was not turned.
Okay.
And as they tried to approach it, they were going to try and get another line out there. It just kind of disappeared off into the distance for a while. When they finally caught up to it, they found it had gone aground to another small island.
Okay.
And so when they got up to it, they found that there were absolutely no signs of life. There's nobody on board.
Wow.
They sent up a small boat to investigate. They climbed on board. Everything seemed to be in good condition. Like I say, nobody's on board. The Captain Marshal's clothing is all on board, like he was expected to stay there.
Right.
There was a large amount of cash.
Oh, wow. Okay. Not a robbery.
The captain's papers were there, and it would be pretty unlikely the captain would abandon his ship.
Right.
Which wasn't really sinking anyway. It was having some trouble, but the papers were all there.
Right.
So
how many people on board again? Remind us.
It was just only about 8.
Okay.
Only about 8 people.
All right.
So they a short distance away, they found the lifeboat capsized, but they searched the area for quite some time. They never found any bodies. Now, one might think this was the Mary Celeste,
right? Yeah,
or something that occurred in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes, right.
But instead, this area is less than 100 miles from Ottawa, the capital of Canada.
Yes,
and it's kind of the east side of Lake Ontario, which some call the Ontario Triangle.
There you go. Everyone's got a triangle one. Yes, go ahead, please.
Another infamous triangle, whether it's a real triangle or not. The points in this imaginary triangle, or hypothesized triangle, Wolf Island, Mexico Bay, and Point Petrie, for those that want to get your maps out. It's about 875 square miles, where more than of the ships lost in Ontario, 2/3 of them were lost in this area.
Okay.
And so now, of course, part of the reason it's obvious. It's a very high traffic area. Right. At least it was back in the old days, and still is apparently. So some of these things aren't really mysteries, but apparently there's this lake is as deep as 800 feet, but it also has a lot of limestone, shale rocks, and so forth that produce reefs unexpectedly. I mean, they rise all the way to the surface in areas that were very deep, and so a lot of ships succumb to this kind of underwater terrain.
They hit the reef of limestone.
Well, just that there was a lot of areas apparently where the reefs were very unexpected, especially in the old days,
right.
Because of the limestone and the shale and so forth.
Right. Yeah. Well.
Okay, now 1854, the schooner Eleanor Hamilton.
Okay, Juan-Juan used to date her. Go ahead, please.
Well, she leaves her face in a jar
I'm
by
big
the
on
door.
schooners.
That's somebody else. Okay.
Go ahead, please.
The crew had a premonition about their upcoming voyage. Several of the crew. The captain said, "Don't worry about it. The Eleanor Hamilton is unsinkable." 2 days later, it was lost under a dark moon, a moonless night, with all hands, and all they found were bits and pieces of the ship.
Oh.
Okay, 1883. You should listen to those premonitions.
Yes.
1883, the Quinlan sailed out of Oswego, New York.
Yes.
Had a load of coal on a route that would take them close to this triangle. Now, it's bad enough that they encountered a mist and a heavy snow. There were some survivors. It smashed against the rocks on the shore. But the few survivors said something really weird happened. It said they had been gripped by some odd attraction. The compass, they said, was thrown off. That's the way they put it. I don't want to discuss odd attraction so much, but anyway, the compass was thrown off, and then they hit the rocks. Now, this sounds like a repeat of some of the weird stuff that people have reported in the Bermuda Triangle, where there's these magnetic anomalies and so forth.
Yep.
Now, Hugh F. Cochran, who wrote a book called Gateway to Oblivion, he claims, now he talks about a Project Magnet, that the U.S. Navy conducted, where they mapped magnetic anomalies all across the. Now, there was also another Project Magnet. We're not talking about that took place in Canada to study UFOs.
Okay.
And I guess that was fairly short-lived. But now this one, Cochran claims, and I couldn't verify this. He said that they.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
An RV rolls into a campground. Kids in the back eat turkey, jerky, excessive. Dad drives like a boss with 24/7 support from Progressive. Tomorrow it's off to see the world's largest ball of twine. Would have seen it last trip, but Dad missed the sign.
Get 24/7 help when you insure your RV with Progressive. Call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Under this study, they found 6 subterranean magnetic anomalies in that area, the Ontario Triangle, which could be responsible for throwing off compasses and so forth.
Right. Now, let me just remind me, Lake Ontario, does that border New York State? Is that the one?
Yeah, it's got to go up over that way.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's where the canal. Yeah, the canal gets you. Okay, I'm just trying to get the geography of it.
That's the easternmost Great Lake.
Where was the Edmund Fitzgerald there? Juan-Juan?
Superior. Right?
Oh, Lake Superior. Okay,
Yep.
all right. Okay, got mixed up. All right. Is this area so well known that people would actually sail around it? Yeah, some people sail around the Bermuda Triangle. Someone told me once. They try to avoid sailing in it just because it's more bad luck than anything else.
Well, that I haven't heard about. When people start talking about triangles, it gets to be a little bit fanciful.
Yes.
And if you're talking about the Bermuda Triangle, we all have talked about Ivan Sanderson before, the great British naturalist and researcher into all things unexplained, UFOs and so forth. And he was, for those that don't know, he kind of was on the map after he wrote Abominable Snowman.
Yes.
Legend come to life.
Right? Yeah, right.
Well, he did a great book. He did one called Invisible Residents and one called Uninvited Visitors. Mm-hmm. And in there, I think it was Invisible Residents, he discusses the Bermuda Triangle, and he plots the disappearances off the coast of Florida, and he found that it's more of a shape of an ellipse, kind of on a tilt. And then he found, he did plotted the disappearances in the Devil's Triangle, which is off the coast of Japan, and several other places. And he found that these things seem to be spaced equally throughout the globe. Now, some you can't really determine because there's not enough air traffic to really determine if there's a high level of disappearances or whatever.
Right.
But so the triangle thing just may be kind of fanciful. And, some of and many of the things in the so-called Ontario Triangle, some of them sound a little weird, a little bit like Bermuda, but others are certainly, the dangers of being at sea is nothing to take lightly.
Let me just ask Coco a question here. Have you ever thrown? Yeah. Have you ever flown through the Bermuda Triangle there, Cobra?
Oh yeah, and sailed through.
He sailed through it too. Okay. All right. Any problems?
No, but I'll tell you, I've had some pretty strange occurrences up on the Great Lakes in the area where this is talked about.
Okay.
Rapid weather changes, classical things that are associated with the Bermuda Triangle have occurred up there in the Great Lakes. And lakes is a misnomer. It's really like an inland sea. I think it's the largest freshwater deposit in the world.
Look at Hudson Bay. Hudson Bay, when you look at the map, Hudson Bay swallows those guys, and you still got a lot left over. When you flew, let's say the first time you flew through the Bermuda Triangle, I just want to know, does it cross your mind at all, you being such a squared away guy? Does it cross your mind at all that, hey, man, I'm flying where everyone says...
Yeah, I mean, like I flew over the Skinwalker Ranch and didn't realize it until that night that I had gone through there, and I was kind of,
drunk.
I was kind of bummed that I didn't pay more attention. And when I went out, I flew back over, kind of retraced it, and then of course I was looking and saw a lot of open territory.
Okay.
But I'm convinced because I want the experience or I'm open to it, I'm not going to have it. I'm the guy who goes and buys the snowblower and it doesn't snow. That's how that works.
You can't go looking for UFOs. That's one thing. You can't go looking for them.
Yeah.
They appear, to us. Let's say, So, wow, Switch. That's a fascinating story there about the Great Lakes, Ontario.
Well, I was also in the Bermuda Triangle on a submarine.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Please.
When I was in the Navy, we went through several times, and the sonar techs told me some weird stories. Now, keep in mind, sailors are some of the biggest BSers on the planet.
Oh,
okay?
don't say that.
I'm just saying.
Not technical.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm
not
a sailor
technical,
myself,
guys. Bosun's mates, maybe.
Wow.
The watch.
You discriminate.
Well, if you're on watch, maybe you might tell a story.
Okay. All right. What happened to the moonlight?
Icebergs ahead.
Well, they told me that whenever they would hear. Now, of course, these guys are trained to hear what they call biologics, various kinds of.
I was trained in that,
and so forth.
Yep. I was trained in that. I do.
Torpedo in the water, danger.
That's an important one. That's
Yes. That might be the most important.
Torpedo dead ahead.
Yeah.
Which way is it going?
It's
closing fast.
Actually, they did hear one once, but I wasn't on board at the time. Or they thought they did.
Okay, so these guys said to you what? That they heard kind of weird creatures out there?
In the area of the Bermuda Triangle, they would hear a couple things that they'd never heard, that they would not hear elsewhere.
Okay.
And one was kind of the sound of like a woman screaming.
Uh-oh.
And one might think that might be some kind of a biologic marine animal or whatever. But
Harvey Weintraub's yacht is out there, obviously.
But again, they're very well versed in this stuff, and they couldn't really pinpoint it. The other thing was they would hear something like, okay, take this for what it's worth,
all right,
wind chimes in this area occasionally.
We need wind chimes in here with the mood lighting.
You can have
maybe
schools of fish that sound like wind chimes.
Patio with some kind of wind chime. I don't know, but anyway, one of the guys who was Langenbrunner, who was pretty straight shooter, he told me this with a straight face. So maybe they really did hear some of this weird stuff just in the area of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
You know the difference between a sea story and a fairy tale, right?
Let's
go ahead.
A fairy tale starts out once upon a time.
So the last time, no.
And a
sea story starts out, no, bad word that begins with S and ends in T. This really happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Got a big laugh there.
You're right about that.
All right.
Yeah.
I can still put put butts in the seats.
Put them together. Okay. Good to know. So,
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Shall I continue?
Well, okay, but when you let me ask you this: when you went through the Bermuda Triangle in a submarine, were you submerged?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes.
Who laughed?
But one time.
Sometimes they
come on, Cobra. It doesn't have to be submerged.
Yeah. Sometimes they run on the surface. They're wise guy.
Well, one time we did come to the surface.
See.
And once in a while, we
Funny man,
actually
Cobra.
had pizza and spaghetti on top of the sub. We got a break.
Wow.
People were up there. We just kind of on the surface for a while. A couple times we actually out in the middle of nowhere would have a swim call.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, they'd come up and they'd stop.
The seas were calm enough that they wouldn't wash over the open hatch.
Right. Okay.
So we did that a couple times.
So when you went through the Bermuda Triangle submerged, Did it cross your mind that here I go?
Well, a little bit, because it wasn't too, I guess back in '68, the Scorpion disappeared.
Yes, right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was, of course, they made a big deal about it disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle until they actually found the wreckage.
Right.
You know, the chief of my boat was on the Scorpion.
Really?
And when they were in Europe, he and two other guys, he got off for emergency leave because of his wife, and I think another guy had an emergency, and another guy had just some leave time, so he took it in Europe.
Wow.
And so when he got back, his boat never
returned. We should tell people, I forget when that was, 1989 maybe? Am I just guessing?
68.
Oh, 60, really? Yeah, that long ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
And
USS...
there's a big conspiracy that a number of people believe that the Russians actually took that out as payback for us taking one of theirs out.
Right. The story basically is the USS Scorpion nuclear sub coming home from a tour in Europe. You know, somewhere they would have been way out of the Bermuda Triangle, somewhere in the area of the Bermuda Triangle, mid-Atlantic, and it just, boom, was gone. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of theories. One, as Cobra said, that the Russians sank. Another one said that they mistakenly fired one of their torpedoes and it came around and sank the ship because the homing device was not right. But it just disappeared, and there had been a Russian submarine that had just disappeared like 2 years before. So I think a lot of people just kind of,
Well, I have another one, might be a little more plausible.
Go ahead.
The ship, now we had a battery on board as a backup. You know, when your reactor shuts down, you got to have power. And you're not going to, you can't put the diesel up when you're underwater.
Right.
So you use the ship's battery. And these things are huge. It was like 124 individual cells, each cell about a foot by 4 feet
wow.
deep.
Okay.
So I guess they were having some trouble with it. And when you charge the battery, your biggest concern is hydrogen formation.
Okay.
And you get too much of that, and it's can be explosive. So
we don't want that in the submarine.
No. No, I used to be the battery charging electrician forward.
Wow.
I was a nice seaman, so I wasn't the actual guy that did the charge.
Okay.
But I was the guy that went around, checking the ventilation and making sure the hydrogen didn't get past, what was it, 1.5% or something like that.
Oh, okay.
He was like the canary on the ship.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. If Steve drops dead, something's wrong.
Shut down that charge.
Okay.
So, but that could be deadly. So
yes.
It's possible that they had a faulty battery that blew, and boy, if that thing blows up on the sub, that's it.
But wait, weren't they nuclear powered subs?
Yes, but see, sometimes the reactor would shut down for whatever reason.
Okay.
And so you had to have a source of power.
And you're in on batteries even then.
Well,
they had diesel too.
Just for that particular instance.
You mean there's diesel engines in these nuclear subs too? Is that what you're saying?
There's a diesel that you can use on the surface.
They haul around a diesel engine in one of those things.
They fill it up at Sunoco.
Yeah, really. I'm just kind of amazed that you would haul something around that.
All different kinds. Whatever, you just had to have a lot of different power sources. You had your steam from the reactor would power the turbines.
Right.
And then they give you your AC, and then they would power your motor generator sets, which would give you your DC, and that would be connected to the battery bus.
Well, are you taking all this down?
I am, and they had an interesting signature underwater which is what we learned how to read, is the various frequencies that were emanated from props, motors.
Oh, yeah.
Case of diesel.
No two sounds sound like that type of thing?
Well, yeah, to a certain extent, that each boat had a
distinctive
unique
sound.
Signature.
Well, that's wild.
Even within classes, within models, within classes.
And they would school you guys in them? Or?
Yeah, it was supposed to be secret information. You couldn't have the book with you. I mean, you learned with the book, but the book was locked up in a safe.
Right. And
you had to stand watch without the book and take note of every signature you saw, put it all together, and see what kind of ship it was, whether it was foreign or,
Why don't they just give you the book?
Well, because
security, you mean?
This is the closest I got to real warfare. It was like, you're doing drills out there in the ocean.
Are you saying they didn't trust you?
And Gitmo, we were tracking subs all the time.
Okay.
So we had plenty of experience, but they're mostly either NATO ships, American ships, or a couple of Russian things.
Because I read that that was a while ago.
Yeah,
sorry.
it was.
But I read, recently in the past few years that the Navy has chronicled individual whales They
Probably.
know individual whales and where they are and not to hit
because
them.
they make a
The
signature
big
sound
change
too.
on that Mac, or I
Yes.
should say the Mac, is that now they have the technology to code that in a computer.
Yeah.
And they have the algorithm,
Oh, okay.
and it
Oh, yeah.
breaks it
Yes.
down into digital signal. They store it. It goes into a major database. It goes out to all the other subs.
Right.
And then a lot of times they'll back that identification up with another source of intel to get it matched up, so they know that this sub left on this day or something like that.
Go ahead.
That's
The guy like me would be obsolete with spreading out what they call
still
10
You still have
points.
to have a good ear.
Yeah,
still
you
have
do,
to have
but-
that, but they use a digital coding that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
You saw lines printed on a piece of paper and the separation between the lines and the frequency of the lines themselves, how often they were, and the intensity of the lines and these other lines in between denoted what the heck the thing was that you were listening to.
Yeah, right. Let me ask Steve, because I think Steve would be the one who knows this. Have you ever heard of this thing they detected, I don't know when, back in the 80s, 70s, this enormous sound that they detected from the south, really southern part of the Pacific. Have you heard of that? It's called the grunt or something.
Yeah, I forget what they called it, but yeah, they never. I don't think they ever satisfactorily explained it. They came up with a couple of half-baked explanations, but
the decibel equivalent, was what was Blue Cheer? Remember, Blue Cheer was the loudest rock band. They were like 150 decibels or something, right? Something like that. Then maybe the Who was.
Yeah.
I might have the numbers wrong.
Yeah.
Well, they were. This thing was like in the millions of decibels under the water, somewhere down off the western coast of South America. And no one has in a million years, in all this time, I should say, no one has come up for an explanation for it. It's not. It was so loud, it could not be something that
it was man-made.
We made, and it was only like the signature of a nuclear bomb is like a fraction of what it was. So
yeah.
Anyway, the big noise down in the Pacific. So switcherino. So is that it for Lake Ontario?
Well, I do have a few more that we could go through.
Don't they have a monster there?
Neil Young used to sing about Lake Ontario.
Yeah, I guess he lived up there. Canadian.
Lake monster. I didn't look into lake monsters, but just about every lake.
Lake Champlain has one. Champion.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, Champ, and they're plentiful. That's the kind of thing where. Remember, we talked about F.W. Holliday before, the guy that did research into Loch Ness.
Yes.
And he discovered that these creatures, these water creatures, are all over the place. And he found that they'd be in sometimes very small lakes, and reliable people would see them. The same general type of description with the long neck and the several humps on the back.
Right.
And but he found that a lot of these lakes were way too small. They didn't have much of a fish population that could conceivably hold, support one of these creatures, much less a colony that would,
Yeah, right.
So that's one of the, we talked about that before, but that's one of the things that led him to believe that there was something almost supernatural about some of these events. Although I'm quite sure that there are some aquatic creatures out there that simply haven't been documented.
Right. Yeah. Well, they've pulled out prehistoric fish before. That one that begins with a P and you can't say his name. Someone caught it in like 1936. They thought it had been gone extinct 200 million years before or something.
The coelacanth?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What is it called?
The coelacanth. It's spelled really weird. It's like a
PSY.
COE.
Oh.
But COE is pronounced C. And they used to talk about how this can't be. When they first discovered it, they said, "Well, this is not possible. This thing's been extinct for 60 million years." And sure enough, these fishermen off the coast of South America, maybe.
And I think
it's Vietnam or Philippines.
Borneo or some over there. Yeah, over in the.
They were catching them as a matter of course. And would eat the darn thing.
Well, they had them. Yeah, they had them in the fish markets and stuff. When some guy walked along and said, "Well, wait a minute, this thing, went out of business 60 million years ago." Yeah, it's one thing I have to go back to, and you had mentioned that a gentleman had written a book or a story about the abominable snowman, right?
Yeah.
Who's that guy? You mentioned his name?
Ivan Sanderson, great author that people should check out.
Okay, and he also played for the Boston Bruins, didn't he? Ivan Sanderson, defenseman back in the 70s.
That was Derek Sanderson.
Okay. Anyway, so I got to tell you, the first thing that I ever got, paranormal. Okay, I must have been 6 years old, and I read in Reader's Digest the story of the abominable snowman. You know, and to a little kid, all I could think of, he looked like a snowman, you know what I mean? But he was like a monster.
Looked like Frosty.
Yeah, exactly. Frosty gone bad. All right. And that was just such
Frosty
a cool...
who hasn't had a bowel movement in quite some time.
How do you know that? Why do you bring that in? How do you know that?
I don't know. It just came to my head.
That Frosty doesn't have bowel.
The crazy,
Remember what we
the
talked
crazy
about
mind.
before, Juan-Juan? Not everything that comes in our head do we have to
right.
let fall out our mouth.
That's true. That's
Filters,
true.
please.
Think
Anyway.
before I speak. That's what Eileen always tells me.
But for and see,
Like the
you've taken
waitress
the
story.
lesson well, as it turns out. But it was like the strangest thing just to think, wow, a snowman that, you know, was abominable, you know, and who even knew that word, okay? And I guess Sir Edmund Hillary, who was the first one to go up Mount Everest, you know, he was famous back then.
The person who Hillary Clinton was named after?
Yes, exactly.
3 years after he was born, but we don't need to go there.
He's the first one who really kind of took pictures of the footprints and stuff like that. Then later on, people started calling the Yeti and everything. But it's just funny. It was like a 3-page story in Reader's Digest. Had I not read it, who knows where I'd be now.
Yeah. You were in a doctor's office when you read Reader's Digest, right?
No, it wasn't in a doctor's office. No.
Who reads Reader's Digest?
That was a great magazine. That's where I
was.
first read about the incident at Exeter. Remember that?
Yeah, oh yeah,
the
right, yeah,
UFO
yeah.
sightings that predated the stuff on Betty and Barney Hill.
Yep. You could. We're like a mile from where that happened.
Oh, cool.
I'm just throwing that out. I don't know.
Couple miles.
We're in Exeter.
Not far.
Yeah.
Walking distance.
Walking distance, really?
Sure.
Okay.
Stop at the Rusty Moose first.
We have cars. Why would we walk?
Because it's cooler.
Oh, no, it isn't. So anyway, I don't know. Well, how come we're not seeing eye to eye tonight? We're usually pretty kumbaya. Okay.
Maybe I need more exercise in front of the microphone.
Okay. All right.
It's been a while.
I can't tell you what he's doing, folks. Sorry. So, Coco, for some reason, I just want to throw it to you before we have to take a
Throw it to Coco.
Any thoughts?
I want more information about his snow plowing excursions. What's that all about?
Really? That's what commercials.
I thought you were running the place, Coco.
He is running the place, aren't you?
Who's it talking about a snow blower and blow snow all the way up to Exeter? I've seen those things. They're amazing.
Is this
Those
something for the off-air?
No, he mentioned it.
Okay.
Runway clearing equipment.
Okay. All right. Well, if we can't put music behind it, then let's go to
What was the
commercial.
question that you were going to ask, the Mac?
I just wanted to throw it to you because I had a feeling that you wanted to offer something.
All right. Well, I just wanted to ask, out of
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
Motor, cycle, and car insured together. Saving money feels stress-free, mess-free, light as a feather. However, which should I drive? Depends on the weather. If it rains, take the car, because these pants are leather. Possibly pleather.
Bundle your motorcycle and car insurance and save with Progressive. Call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
with Switch, all the stuff that you've looked at, what's the most compelling one that you've dealt with up there in the Great Lakes area? Because I have family from that part of the world, and there seems to be a really close affinity to the lakes and all the stuff that goes on there. I mean, the history, not well recorded, but there's very good evidence that you had coming over from the Irish coast, or from Ireland. You had monks that were there. They had mined copper many years before the official, discovery of the New World.
Really?
And
Right,
it's a
there's
really
all those,
interesting history. that's
Irish
not
monks
really
were here
talked
before
about.
anyone else?
Oh,
They forget
God,
where it
yes,
was? After you
Yeah,
had to
those
go home?
there's abandoned mines way up in the Upper Peninsula. Yeah.
Can you answer this in 20
It's
seconds?
been found that some of the copper jewelry and religious items that is found throughout the northern part of Europe traces back to these Irish monks, and it's not copper that came from Africa or the Middle East. It's copper from that part of the world, and it predates Columbus. So
Let me ask this. How come the Irish never get blamed for anything? Ever noticed that?
It's cool. They've had a clean slate in that regard.
They really have. Yeah, they really have. That's
Other than
something to be proud
no
of.
Irish need apply, they had a pretty good
Yeah. And the
pretty
Civil
good,
War they had
history.
there against Northern Ireland. That got pretty ugly there. But other than that, they don't get blamed for a whole lot.
Nope.
I like
Nope.
that.
well, they saved civilization, Western civilization. So there you go.
The Irish did why? By inventing whiskey?
Well, because when as things were going crazier,
Yes.
the Irish monks are the ones that maintain most of the written record that was destroyed.
That's right. They were the scribes of the universe.
And then
That's why
as
we're in
that
such good
information
shape
came
today.
out, as after the the great battles between the Anglo-Saxons, and the
bad guys.
I'm trying to think of the Normans and all that. All those
the conquering
battles,
hordes.
They maintained that because they were the far western reaches of the territory.
Oh, wow.
And they were the keepers of the record.
All right, boy. I'll tell you, when you have to leave the world up to some Irish monks, you're in a bad state of mind. Believe me.
Yeah, I'll have to show you my
my
ancestry thing.
Bad state of affairs. What, you're going to claim to be Irish now?
I told you I was. I just did the ancestry DNA for Eileen and myself, and
you've claimed to be about 9 nationalities.
I've got some in there that I saw it. Boom! I'll send you the PDFs.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
You know that they sell your DNA to other companies after you send it to them?
They do?
Yeah. Did they tell you that? They do.
I hope I don't get anybody pregnant or something.
Oh, wait, here you go. No, don't worry, that won't happen.
Oh, wait. You spit in the tube. You don't have to do anything else in the tube.
They were cloned. It's all part of the next conspiracy. Please join us at the next.
Yeah, really. Why don't we take an ad now?
I have to tell you what kind of DNA you have to send in.
Will be the next ad.
You know, it'd be funny. It's just to swab a dog's mouth and send it in. I mean, but I'm sure people do that all the time. Anyway, it might be funny as a monkey or a black squirrel. And then they'd go, is he gray? Is he black?
You ought to see where the lines go from one country to another. It's like crazy. Wow.
How do you know they're telling you the truth?
I don't know. But
anyway, why don't we take a commercial break now? And we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Miltrack South Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Right back after. Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Miltrack South Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. We're in our beautiful new Exeter, New Hampshire studios, and in said studio is, yes, girls, he's back. The very famous Juan-Juan is here.
Yes, back and ready for action.
Right. Like he isn't always.
Glad to be here. I miss coming here.
We missed you.
Thank you.
Also, calling in from the disclosed location, Coco's here.
Good evening, gentlemen. Okay. One and all.
All right. That was what you call a pregnant pause in the biz.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of jumping right on it, he waited. Just for people to add the tension.
When pauses are pregnant,
right?
You know
that you're in trouble.
That was quite a pause.
No.
Listen. And also, Switcherino is on the phone with us. Switchblade Steve Ward up there in Battle Creek, the bowl of flakes. Every time I say that, I want a bowl of cereal. You know what I mean?
And we got some history about Kellogg's too that I didn't even know.
Right? Yeah. Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes, you know. I mean, why not?
Yeah,
they're terrific.
Just the flake, period. If you look at the flake, each flake is unique.
Yeah, because it's covered in
size
sugar.
and proportion.
It's like they dipped in sugar.
But even just the plain old cornflakes.
Yeah. Had to put sugar on them as well. But
I feel like I'm in a farm full of corn stalks up high as an elephant's eye.
Really, yeah? They have elephants out there?
Yeah.
So, bowl of cornflakes, put a banana on it.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day.
Yeah, that's like my childhood,
I got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way.
And then at noon came Chef Boyardee. Anyway.
That stuff is so bad. I ate it back then, but I tried some now just for laughs in case it was going to be my go-to meals, like MREs during the apocalypse.
Go ahead, yes.
I opened one up and going, this stuff is nasty.
Yeah?
Oh, man.
You have no taste. How do you
I used to like it. I used to like the beefaroni.
There's something wrong with you. Why doesn't it bring back...
It didn't. It didn't do... It tasted awful.
Maybe you got
the formulation is a lot different than it was back
then. Maybe you got a bad can.
I don't think so. Maybe. I'll try it again.
I sneak in the supermarket.
I used to like the ravioli better. It had a different...
Me too. Yeah, it had a different
sauce.
texture. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yes.
The ravioli was my go-to for the chef.
Beefaroni was the backup.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. All right. Does anyone out there know what we're talking about at all?
That other canned stuff was really nasty. What was that?
It was Campbell's soup. It didn't kill you.
No, it was some other brand of canned spaghetti.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Oh, Franco-American.
Franco-American. Awful.
Yeah. SpaghettiOs.
SpaghettiOs. Same thing. Different. Yeah.
Awful. That was awful.
Switch, do you remember any of this, or Have you turned this
Yes,
up?
but talking about Kellogg's,
Yes.
I have a small anecdote about Kellogg's,
Okay.
the company. I used to work at a electrical wholesale place in Battle Creek, and we would pack up material, electrical parts and so forth for Kellogg. And some of the parts are fairly small and so forth, so you put them in boxes or bags. Well, usually you can use staples, right?
Yep, sure.
Staple the bag. Okay.
Yep.
But at Kellogg's, you could not use staples.
Oh.
If you accidentally stapled a bag
Yep.
and they got it, they
Yep.
would freak out and they would set out a zone as if they'd had some kind of radiation leak.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
they would check the whole area out to make sure there weren't any other staples or little bits of metal like that around.
Yeah, right.
To ensure quality control. So that was.
Did that happen to them one time, or was it some other company that happened to, where that would some staple material
Someone
was in
made
a
a
batch
staple.
of?
I'm sure they probably have had incidents. I don't know of any, but I just know that
His-
I can
it
imagine
was
that'd
hell
be a
to pay
problem.
if we did that.
Here's your best chance of swallowing a staple. Ready? When you go for Chinese food and you ask them for the plastic bag full of the crispy noodles,
Oh, yeah.
they always have a little staple on
That's
them. and
right.
It's easy to miss, baby.
I know. Boom! Next thing you know, it's in your hot
In
and,
your-
hot
I
and
was going to
sour
say in your
soup.
urethra.
In your urethra.
I'll just get in there.
Yeah.
Man, we went from food to biology.
There you
in
go.
like,
And one quick
30
thing.
Yeah.
seconds.
So, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
You started it
Staples.
with the black squirrels. Just knock it out.
Black squirrels are pretty cool.
Right.
I mean,
I
after
think they're
growing
very
up watching
See,
the
they-
gray squirrels and that symbol, they're very cool.
See, they weren't as popular as the Black Panthers one. Okay,
It's
they might
true.
have picked a better name, like the Black Lions or whatever.
Or
They
the
were
black, or
squirrel.
the black mambo.
Racist and funny. Thank you, Juan-Juan.
Hey, there's a great snake in Kill Bill. Was it a black
We haven't figured out.
mambo snake? Is that what it was?
We're going down an avenue we probably don't want to go. So, Steve, please, you have another anecdote.
Well, we were going to talk a little bit about the astronauts.
Oh, right,
and
yes.
Some of the strange things they've seen
Right.
in the skies on their trips. Of course, we don't have too many astronauts these days, and we don't have too many missions. But back in the good old days, when you talk about Gemini and so forth,
Right.
and some of the classic names like James Lovell,
Yes.
Buzz Aldrin,
Buzz.
before he was a lunar visitor.
Alluded?
Or either that or on a
what?
sound stage,
Okay.
depending on your
All right.
your viewpoint.
Oh,
Okay, but Gemini 12,
yes.
November 1966.
Yes.
James Lovell, Buzz Aldrin, they reported seeing 4 UFOs, and these, whatever these were lined up in a row. And we know about a lot of these things because at the time, the transmissions were being broadcast and monitored and so forth.
Mhm.
And Lovell told, when they landed, Lovell told reporters that he was pretty sure that they were not stars. Okay,
Right. Mhm.
but then sometimes you get these initial reports, and then that's it.
Right.
There's no if there's a follow up, they get kind of quiet.
Right.
Now let's keep in mind. I've got several more of these, but just like the story about the Ontario Triangle, there's a lot of logical explanations for a lot of these things.
Okay.
There are thousands of abandoned satellites
Right.
and debris up and surrounding the Earth.
Right.
Satellites that are have well,
The
gone
trash.
past their use.
Space trash.
And also, there's other countries that put satellites up.
Yes.
And sometimes, we get surprised. It's like, what the heck is this? Then they have to figure out where it comes from and so forth.
Right.
Now, according to John Keel, John Keel, of course, the author of the Mothman Prophecies,
Right.
back in 1967, the government had been keeping a careful eye. There was 3 unidentified satellites that were supposed to be going around the Earth, and it's not known if they ever actually figured out what they were.
Kehoe also is quoted in the pubs there that in '54 he made the claim that there was 2 right around the time that he was putting out one of his first UFO books.
Well, a little publicity there.
Is that
It
that
seems-
the Black Knight?
Well,
You're
yeah,
talking
Black Knight is Black Knight is one of the most encompassing of the satellite
Mystery
of alien
satellites.
origin, extraterrestrial satellite stories, and it's been around gosh, I think it goes all the way back to Tesla.
Right. I mean, somewhere, somehow, someone took a picture of this thing up in orbit, and it's a very unusual design. Black Knight, I mean, I guess it looks a little bit like a knight's helmet or something.
Yeah, or the shape of it's got kind of a Black Knight kind of helmet kind of look to it.
But
and they claim that it's 15.
It.
I don't know how they determine the size or mass, but they claim it's something like 15 tons, which is if the case, and if it is some kind of a satellite, nothing has been put up anywhere near that way.
The whole thing is, what was it, $5,000 an ounce to put something up in the space shuttle, you know, something like that, you know. But let me ask this. I mean, stuff in orbit I could see almost, you know, I don't know, who knows, you know, sometimes countries, you know, launch satellites, they don't tell anyone, and I guess, you know, eventually they'll be found out. But what's interesting to me, too, what astronauts have seen is that some of the astronauts who went to the moon and back, there was one who they said, and I don't know who it was, they said that there's this little, not a big object, but a little object that followed them all the way to the moon. Might have even been Apollo 11, I'm not sure, the first one to land on the moon. But anyway, at the time, they said, well, what we think is happening is that because you've left the Earth's orbit and you're going into the moon's orbit, you have your own attraction, and some kind of space junk is just following you because, in a way, you're generating the only
kind of a gravitational pull, huh?
Exactly, right. Ooh. And so, you know, they took pictures of it and so on, you know, and then when they came back, you know, the scientists said, no, that's impossible. You know, that did not happen. So they had no idea what this thing followed them for 3 days all the way to the moon, you know.
Well,
so,
but it kept its distance. It didn't get.
They looked right out the window and took pictures of it.
Yeah, but
it kept it. It always kept its distance. Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
It didn't get too close.
No, it didn't circle them, but it just trailed.
The gravitational pull was just enough to.
But they said that's impossible because there's not enough mass in the lunar orbiter and so on to have have enough gravitational pull for something to follow it. So then they never looked into
blah. That's what they said.
What was it? You know. So anyway, so that's the strange thing is that in orbit, I know it's crowded, all right, but when you get out of orbit, there shouldn't be anything out there, and there was something out there. So.
Well, this Black Knight conspiracy stuff, you know, some claim, I mean, the claims are pretty wild that this goes back 13,000 years and it's some kind of, you know, I don't know how anybody determined that. But Cobra mentioned Tesla, and the part of the mythology, if you will, goes back to 1899 with his radio experiments. And he's supposed to have received some strange signals, like natural repeating sources, that there were they could be things like pulsar or natural signals that stars and the sun gives off that were not, you know, they weren't aware of back then.
Yeah, also, I mean, they didn't even determine pulsars until like the 60s or something. So,
and also there's another guy, Jorgen Hals, who first heard what they call these long delayed echoes. He'd send out a broadcast, and then the echo would come back. But some of these things they think were natural. But this is all goes in with this Black Knight.
Well, it's all nicely woven in there. Martina Redpath, she's an educator at a planetarium in Ireland, Northern Ireland.
All right.
And to celebrate Juan-Juan's newly found heritage.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Let me quote her. Black Knight is a jumble of completely unrelated stories, reports of unusual science observations, authors promoting fringe ideas, classified spy satellites, and people over-interpreting photos. These ingredients have been chopped up, stirred, and stewed into an internet that is one rambling and inconsistent dollop of myth.
Wow. Meow. You know, what got her? Would she get up at the wrong side of the bed?
I don't know, but she did manage to get stew in there, and
I
thought
it was
a nice play and pun.
You know her? Do you have a personal relationship with her, Coco, or did you just?
No. I think she has a very harsh, critical eye to this, and I think there's some.
She was kicked off the British baking show.
There you go. Hey, listen, it sounds like Cobra just kind of shat all over Steve's report.
No. Well, the Black Knight stuff that's true. It's kind of a conglomeration of all kinds of stuff, and it's pretty tenuous. I don't know if there are really a couple of massive objects up there. Maybe it's just some kind of a rock. I mean, who knows?
Right. Let me ask you this though. I mean, wouldn't it be simple? Nothing is simple these days. Why don't they just put a telescope on it? I mean, they can see, if they can see into the Big Bang, they can see something in orbit. Why don't they just train a telescope and take a picture of it?
That's It's a lot more difficult than you make it seem.
Okay, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. I mean, I could see them do something like you set up the telescope, and then over a series of nights, you take a series of pictures, okay, as it passes over, and then you put them together, and you see what the heck you have.
Yeah, why not?
Simple. Okay, who's next problem?
Yeah, Cobra.
Solve that one. Go ahead, please. Anyway, I just think
it's a bit of a throw down there from Juan-Juan to Coco.
Well,
you have to get your pictures at night, I guess, so the telescope would work. If you're going to use an optical one, and that means you have to be lined up, and this is a polar orbit vehicle.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right.
So it's pretty interesting how you can get all those to line up so that you can get the picture of something in near space, because we don't normally use Earth-based telescopes to photograph or to observe things in near orbit.
Why does he always have to be the bucket of ice water on the ideas? You know what I mean?
Why? If he was
why him?
There are some interesting sightings that the astronauts have seen that might be legitimate. But go ahead. I think Juan-Juan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, if he was in Dayton, Ohio, Wilbur and Orville wouldn't be making their successful flights and be saying, we can't do that with a bicycle?
Stick the bikes.
What are you,
weird? To freshen that up just a teeny bit, since I've made most of my career in aviation, that was at Kitty Hawk.
That's why
Kitty Hawk, all right, whatever.
What'd he say?
Like
Dayton, Ohio.
Well, they were from Dayton, weren't they?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
That's where I think I saw the museum. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well,
I was in Dayton at the time. It was close. Where was Kitty Hawk? It's in Ohio someplace.
North Carolina.
Right?
North Carolina.
Oh, it is?
The most windy place.
In the world. Next to Mount Washington. Apparently, there was like 212 miles an hour up there the other day. Is that what someone sent me? And it's just...
Yeah, you said it was the third coldest place on the Earth?
Yeah, something.
At that moment.
Right. So, you go ahead. So, Steve, I mean, wouldn't it just seem like, I mean, I know there's a lot of space junk up there, but I think NORAD or somebody, don't they have every piece of junk up there?
Suppose it, you read these things where they've really got a lot of things
cataloged. I should say.
Cataloged, and I guess you can even there's someplace you can go online and see what satellites are coming over. Mm-hmm. I've got a pair of third generation night vision goggles, which are really cool, and they're great for stargazing. And you'll see if you get out there with a nice star field, you get out there, it's phenomenal what you can see that you can't normally see, and that includes satellites you can't see with the naked eye, and that sort of thing.
Did you ever?
As a matter of,
Steve, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but you can tell us. Did you ever try them out looking in some neighbor's window? And see what's going on? I'm just you have to see what the short distance is too.
Well, not. My moral code would prevent me, but also you don't want to look at direct sources of light with this, otherwise you could possibly hurt the lens. Not that I would be looking in the neighbor's windows.
Hurt your lens, right?
Right.
Hurt your eye. Yeah.
You mean the flash would hurt your eyes?
But are you guys familiar with Mackinac Island up in the Straits of Mackinac between the Upper and Lower Peninsula?
It's named after me, of
been
course.
to it a number of times.
Okay. Well, my wife and I went up there on I forget what meteor shower it was, but they used one of the regular ferry boats. They
Progressive presents Mindfulness with Flow.
You find yourself lying on a beach, feeling warm sand sink between your toes. You ask a passing seagull how you achieved this bliss. Saving money, the seagull whispers, by bundling your auto and motorcycle insurance. You thank the seagull. He steals your sandwich.
Ascend to a higher plane of insurance. Bundle your policies and save with Progressive. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states.
Take you across to the island, and it's all set up with chairs and so forth. And so we went out to see this meteor shower, and it takes you right by the bridge. You actually go just a little bit under the Mackinac Bridge and so forth. But we brought the night vision goggles. And we could see, you could tell when people were seeing something because they'd go, ooh, ah.
Yep, right, yep.
But we could see all kinds of stuff going on all the time.
Oh, wow.
But the others couldn't see it. It was phenomenal, especially low to the horizon. These things were popping off all the time.
Yeah, right.
So it's really, really fascinating to use these things during a meteor shower.
Right, yeah. Like, what are the ones that come in August around here? We go down to the beach.
Pleiades.
Yeah, right. Sometimes.
What is it?
The Pleiades.
Pleiades.
It's like the middle of August, and sometimes you'll see almost like how he's described, it's like just a streak here, this, and sometimes they go over and it's like I hate to say this, but it's like an airliner on fire or something.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, look at that.
Yeah, something just blew up. Right.
Yeah.
There's so much debris.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
always
Wow,
impressed me is how close it appears.
Yeah, right. It looks like you can reach out and touch it.
It looks like it hits the ground in front of you or something.
Yeah. But
and sometimes you see these bright colors, red, green, and so forth.
Yeah, green, yeah.
These meteor showers.
Yeah, I've seen a green meteor before. On my honeymoon, as it turned out. So we took that as a sign of good luck.
But anyway, moving on.
Yes.
Just a few examples of some of the things astronauts have reported.
Yes.
July 18th, 1966, astronaut John Young aboard Gemini 10. He reported, he said, we have two bright objects in our orbital path. I don't think they are stars. That's the first go-to thing that anybody trained is going to go to and make sure that they're not mistaking stars for something else.
Right.
And it says they seem to be following us, and then they just disappeared. Gemini 7, Borman and Lovell. Isn't it great to hear these names again of the astronauts? You know, they were in their second orbit on Gemini 7, and they reported you don't get a good description, but the report is an unidentified object. And they said, are you sure it's not the booster rocket? And he said, no, we know where the booster is. This is an actual sighting.
Wow.
Yes. Gordon Cooper, May 16th, 1963. A green object with a red tail was approaching a spacecraft. And it was visible, it was visible from the ground where it was being tracked. And then... you hear the original transmissions, and then there was no comment after he landed.
I just want to ask if I could just throw to Coco for a second. Now, you always say, there, Commander, that when the live feed is coming in from the ISS, the International Space Station, which I happened to be clicking on the other day on YouTube, where you can just go on and it's the camera outside that going over there.
Right.
That there have been occasions where astronauts have gone out and covered up the lens because something is going by, right?
Right.
Okay.
Or everything has been explained. There's all these, these convenient lineups where you have the astronaut's hand, that gloved hand that goes in front of the lens of the camera on a spacewalk. The camera shuts down when something is seen for X number of seconds.
Yes.
On the corner of the screen, and then the feed is lost.
Okay.
The camera's down. The cable bill wasn't paid.
Maybe I've offered this explanation before, but maybe what it is, instead of, because if they were something of alien nature, then you would have to assume that everyone who has been up to the space station is going to keep their mouth shut, and there's more Russians up there than we are.
So somebody's going to have to talk.
Someone would have to talk. Is it more likely that they know, let's say Russia knows one of their satellites is coming and it's gonna fall within the camera's range, and no one wants their own satellites to be seen, so a Russian guy goes out and he covers up the lens. And then if it might happen a month later to an American, here comes an American spy satellite. We don't want it on video, so they got to go out and cover up the lens. Why don't they just put a lens over the lens, and you don't have to go out? But you know what I mean? Maybe
how about make it remote control? So
there you go, something like that.
I think you make a really good point, Mac, or I should say the Mac. But my problem with that is with the recent disclosure of all the things that have been going on with the Pentagon. Yes. And this make-believe, everything is great with the Russians on the space station, stuff that's gone on, and. I think that the complexion of this argument has changed post the Pentagon program release, that there's a lot more that's been going on, and everything needs to be viewed with a greater amount of suspicion than it was before.
I agree with that. I think it'd be hard for us to be in any kind of conspiracy right now at well, I shouldn't even go there. Anyway.
Yeah, that's you can skip.
Hey, listen, Switchy, thanks for joining us tonight. Okay. 2 segments.
Do we have another minute?
We have 23 seconds, so talk quick.
Then never mind. We'll save it for another time.
Want to do a little dance or something? Was you going to do a song or something?
No, it's about the X-15 and UFOs, but maybe another time.
Yeah.
That's a tease for the next show.
Yeah, X-15, cool aircraft, a rocket. It wasn't an airplane, it was a rocket.
I got this craving for Frosted Flakes right now. Unbelievable.
Yeah, me too. That's all I want.
I haven't eaten that in a long time because it's like the sugar content is through the roof.
That's good.
Tom Brady would be pissed if he knew I was eating
up.
Frosted Flakes.
Thank you, Switchy, for joining us. And hopefully our friend Emily M., who's down in Miami at a business function, Was she going to carry us up into the dinner or something?
I thought she was going to like remote us in or something.
Yeah, okay. Well, she's probably
FaceTime us in.
She's probably busy. Anyway, she needs a break from us. So, Switch, thanks for doing double duty tonight. Double D, I should say.
No
Double
problem.
D,
I enjoyed it. A lot of nice reminiscing tonight.
Those segments, right. Cobra, thank you for joining us.
As always, gentlemen, thank you.
Okay.
And thanks for keeping us on track, both historically and
Yes.
scientifically.
I have a feeling that he's in a hurry to get off tonight.
I know.
Do you have that?
Yep.
Thank you, Ellie Maloney.
You should have given yourself your own little cash on that one.
Yeah, I know.
I'm always in a hurry to get off. I'm getting off right now.
Either that or cats waiting
TMI.
for him with a frying pan in their
TMI,
hand.
yeah. Those things hurt,
Careful
not just
with
like in the
names there,
cartoons.
Juan-Juan. Mrs. Cobra doesn't need that kind of action to be.
Oh, she doesn't, huh?
Well, okay.
That's a tease for the next show, too.
Well, maybe we should just leave it right there. Thank you, Cobra. Thank you,
Ellie Maloney.
Ellie Maloney. Thank you for Pistol Pete for coming in here earlier.
I know.
And
Thank you, Pistol
he
Pete.
frisked us for weapons, and we were
that
clean,
was it.
so he
I was
let us
going to
go
ask
in
him
there.
if he's getting any complaints, because we did have several complaints at the last place. And remember, there were three main ones. Number one, lights flashing on and off, which I never figured that out. I don't know. We never did that. Women leaving at all hours.
That's right.
Which kind of happened.
Some strange congregations outside the door.
Too much smoke near the
hiding
door.
behind the car.
Yeah.
So Pistol Pete is a real person, huh?
He was in here earlier. Yeah,
I've never met him. I just,
Yeah.
Jelly bean.
Well, you'll hear him on the segment.
I think he said too much smoke at the front.
Yeah.
Jelly bean.
All reported by somebody wearing binoculars across the street.
Right. Yeah, right.
Is
That
it the
had
same?
MVGs. Jelly bean.
Jelly bean, yeah. The dog that assaulted me. I should sue that dog.
Hey, speaking of jelly beans, I heard a rumor that there's weed traces in the jelly beans from that place in Maine. What's that awesome
that place,
candy store up?
Up just past Kittery. That place.
Yeah.
Is what?
Let me just say one word.
Okay.
You know,
I'm shocked to hear something.
What's in it?
Well,
what's in them?
Cannabis.
Cannabis is in the jelly beans. Right? Do you hear that story?
They're all natural.
True, but how's it getting in the jelly bean? Those jelly beans are awesome too.
Okay. I'll see you guys later.
They're great to die for.
Pretty close by.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
I got to stop at that candy store.
So what? People getting high eating the jelly beans?
Yeah, somebody put it out there on the news or something. Somebody told me about it.
Wow. Huh. Who knew? So all these
Are you
little kids
concurring with this, Cobra, or what?
I am not concurring with it, but
All right,
I do like a good conspiracy.
But you know the candy store I'm talking
Maybe
about.
that's it.
I forget the name of it.
Maybe I can see it as a pink outdoors
It's
thing. And
very
you go in
colorful, yeah.
I could see people from little kids from Maine being mistaken for being stoned, right?
I don't know.
Never know.
I'm going to check it out, though.
You have to go there to believe it, folks.
I'll try to go up there this weekend.
Okay, let me go around the horn again. Thank you, Ellie Maloney, for joining us. Pistol Pete, Switchy. Hopefully we'll talk to M very soon. Thank you, Coco, they call him, Cobra. And thank you, Juan-Juan, for gracing us
You're
again.
welcome. Glad to be here.
And to get all those little girls' hearts aflutter once again, which generate the ratings for us.
We'll have to hear from our male security guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep. Club. See what comes in, as he says.
Or I should say a security guy who checks the mail.
That's right. Yes.
Who's also male, but I digress.
Right. Yeah. Another show. And thank you for joining us. And until next week, this is Mack Maloney for the crew saying be safe, be happy, and...